Anyways, I'd like to say something in finality to the many of you who would like to shut me up, who have been trying very hard to shut me up. No, I think I'm going to go ahead and be Charlie's David. I'm not going to stop talking about Charlie Kirk's death. In fact, instead of trying to make me shut up, you should do something else. I think your time would be better spent trying to stop the sun from rising.
Let's get into it. I mean, now that I'm sitting down, more energy for the claps. I mean, I know you guys hear it. I know you do. Okay? I've come a long way. You know, for all you new subscribers, somebody said back in the day that I clap like a disabled seal. Okay? And I hope that person's watching, because your boy's come a long way. All right? Now let's get into it. Coach Colin here. Candace says she is going to be Charlie's David. Now, a lot of you might not know what that means, but you're going to understand by the end of this episode. Candace releases messages between her and Charlie that nobody was supposed to see, that I don't think certain people who want her framed as crazy, I don't think they wanted these messages out. I mean, this is a pretty big message. I mean, honestly, let's be real. This is kind of Charlie saying that he was hoping for her to be the heir to the throne of this whole thing. And he was younger than her. He saw things that the rest of us didn't see until they got the ball rolling. He saw it well before that. This is a very interesting episode, man. Let's get into it. It's Candace Owens just talking about these text messages. She wants war. She released this episode just earlier today, and she's going off, man. She's not playing around. She is naming names, but in this episode, she's showing the messages between her and Charlie Kirk. Very interesting stuff. Let's get into it.
Matters more, right? Your subconscious picks up on things before your conscience does. Which brings me to dreams, by the way, because before I went on break, many people were triggered because I discussed on a previous show a dream that I had, a very vivid dream, whereupon Charlie told me that he had been betrayed. And so he's been betrayed. That's it. That's a lot I could say here. If I had known that me discussing my dreams was going to trigger so many people, I would have started every other show like Martin Luther King Jr. I'm like, I had a dream. And like I said, this one was clear. Charlie told me that he was betrayed. He actually said more than that, actually. But we're fishing, right? So let's be patient. What I want you guys to know about Charlie is he also used to dream very vividly. Because we traveled together so much, he would wake up, we would text, and he would tell me about those vivid dreams. And we talked about a lot of things, as you do when you get to know somebody. We talked about the spiritual realm. We talked about religion, our faith, most importantly, what our life's purpose was. And there was this period in April where Charlie kept insisting to me over and over again that he was going to die young. In fact, he told me that Turning Point USA was going to be the death of him. And I'm going to allow you to read his words. And it's funny how this came about, because when I was in Wyoming, I went outside, I was writing, like physically needed to write, to put pen to paper and to pray. And I was sitting in the sun overlooking the mountains. And right when I concluded my prayer, I opened my eyes and I saw a massive bald eagle. And it just made me feel at peace. It's one of those moments where you just are in nature, you see something beautiful, and it makes you feel at peace. And then I felt the need to start going through messages and conversations between me and Charlie. And sure enough, I stumbled upon many messages of him telling me how he would die. And I'm going to show you some of those messages now, a particular set of messages that were written on April 6th, 2018, just a couple of weeks before Kanye tweeted, "I love the way Candace Owens thinks," which is relevant because a lot of things changed after that tweet. And it's relevant because Charlie sensed that something big was about to happen. And I think that is what the something big was. I also want to say, obviously, I am not making up these messages, okay? Turning Point. Actually, Mikey McCoy has access to all of Charlie Kirk's messages. They can tell you that these ones are real.
Guys, listen. The glasses just broke. Listen, subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button. Turn on your notifications. Please, that is all I ask of you guys. There's so many of you that are not subscribed. please subscribe, especially because, you know, eventually they're going to catch on to this Philadelphia stuff. They're going to catch on eventually. They're going to figure out what I'm actually saying. Need your help before that happens, okay? All right? Subscribe. I'm out of here.
Here's what he wrote. We were again talking about Kanye. Charlie wrote to me, "You're going to be the Iron Lady of America." He had such a political vision for me. I never wanted that sort of a thing. I see it so freaking clearly. I might be Moses, though. I might not see this whole thing through. LMAO. If that is the case, be my David. I said, dude, you haven't even realized your power yet. You're so young, was what I was thinking. He said, if I tell you the true prophecy that I know in my gut, it's really sad, but I hope it's wrong. He went on to say, anyway, I am not sure if I will live to see the end of this revolution. I believe you were the piece that God meant me to meet that will finish the fight. Since the beginning of TPUSA, I knew in my gut that I might get wiped out at any time. I cannot explain it, but I dream about it all the time, like all the time. Anyway, that's depressing combo for another time, LMAO. I said, that's weird, more of a fear manifestation than an actualization. He said, I'm not really afraid of it, but I'm just telling you what I know to be true. And he told me that. I don't know why. Charlie knew he was going to die young. And I don't know. I just felt like I needed to share that because it is in part why the moment that Charlie got shot, I just knew he was betrayed spiritually. In the same way that Charlie knew that he was going to die young, I knew that this was a part of something bigger.
Wow. So I guess Tucker Carlson wasn't all that wrong to compare Charlie to Jesus, you know? I mean, just wild that he was saying things like that he had that feeling. And then when you look at his life, to have that feeling and then still show up in front of the big crowds, still show up against the people who are petitioning against you, still show up and still speak the way you want to speak. You don't filter yourself, you know, for him to still do that. Very bold, very courageous, very respectable, very noble. Like, just that's real bravery. That's real courage to do that type of thing if you have that in your head. Charlie probably could have done other things. You know what I mean? He could have done other things. He could have just stuck to just being, you know, he could have ran for governor, could have ran for Congress. He could have done all sorts of different things like that. He could have just sat back and just done the podcast thing. I don't interact with many people doing this type of thing. Neither does Candace. Neither does anybody else you see sitting in front of a desk doing this type of thing. Could have just stuck to that. But instead, he had that thought that was going to happen and still continued on. Very strong-willed. Again, once in a lifetime character, man. And the fact that Candace releases that message now, very, very intelligent on Candace's part. Because we've already heard everybody make their case as to why they weren't close and why, you know, we should discount everything she has to say. Looks like Charlie had a completely different view of her. And believe you me, you don't see somebody the way he just described seeing her, and then a couple years later, because of a few videos she made, go, oh, no, not you. No. You don't have that type of thing where you say, I think God brought me to you because you're the piece that's going to keep this going. And it's wild because even if you do make the argument that they were separated, no, they weren't that good of friends, you make that argument. Even if you make that argument, it's still coming to prophecy. She is the one that's keeping this going. And I think she will be called, because of what's happened, to start speaking like Charlie did. I think that is going to happen. So next, we're going to talk about what the next play is. This is what you're going to see on X. This is what you're going to see within the alternative media, the compromised alternative media, as I like to call them. This is what you're going to see from them next. Here's what people are going to do right away when it comes to the messages. They're going to say, well, that was 2019 or 2018, whatever she said, 2019, 2018. Those are years ago. Those are years ago. Charlie didn't feel like that anymore. That's what they're going to do. That is the next play that is going to take place. They're going to be screenshotting the messages. They're going to show Charlie Kirk. They're going to, if they can see a date, they're going to circle the date. They're going to do everything to make her seem crazy. Man. And it's not going to do anything. It's just like, and what do you think? You know, and this is the thing. The stuff that people put out about her, it's not even for her. They're not looking for her to feel bad. They're not trying to discourage her. They know that's not going to happen. You can't discourage anybody who's online, really. There's very few people who rise to her type of platform, even my type of platform, and they go, oh, so many people said hurtful things, I'm not going to make any videos anymore. There's so little people who are willing to do that. They just keep going. When they put out stuff like that, it's meant to get to you, right? It's meant to penetrate your mind and get you thinking differently. That's the only reason they do that type of thing. Has nothing to do with Candace. Has everything to do with you. They're trying to shift the narrative. I've said this about mainstream talking heads so many times, but they try to bend reality. They bend reality as much as they possibly can. And a lot of times it works. Because you see it everywhere. You see 10 different creators say it. It's all over your timeline. I had a friend tell me what Candace said in that leaked clip. He told me, oh, yeah, she said the president, she said Erica. And I'm like, no, man, she didn't. I'm like, did you watch the clip? He's like, no. Like, what did she say about Erica again? I'm like, bro, she didn't mention Erica. He's like, no. I saw a bunch of, I'm like, you read a bunch of things, but did you watch the clip? He watched the clip. He was like, that's weird. That's just one person. That's one person that has me as a friend. There's thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions that see that and they don't question that. And that bends reality. It changes reality in a very weird way. And I've watched the mainstream do it for a long time. Long time. And now the talking heads on Twitter are doing it. I knew it would happen, man. It's going to be YouTubers. It's going to be people on Twitter. You're going to have to watch out for them the same way you'd have to watch out for the Don Lemon and the Anderson Cooper and the Rachel Maddow. You're going to have to do the exact same thing. Those people, those names that I just mentioned, those are done. Move on to YouTube and look for those same characters there. Go on to X and look for those same characters there. Go to the fringes of either the left and right and look for those characters there because they're planted everywhere. 100%. And you'll know them by their fruits. You'll know them by the times that they work in unison with each other. And they're completely disconnected from each other. But yet they all have the same talking points. You'll know it by that. Anyways, guys,